Good Monday, everybody. It's Jim. It's Amadeus, and we're here. And Amadeus, I'll tell you, not a bad weekend ratings-wise. We're looking at World Cup women with the U.S. playing Vietnam, and they broke the record of viewership for the men's final in the United States, and then also on Friday night we got the situation where we got to see Messi play in his first game. For Inter Miami, they won 2-1 on his goal late into the game, and while you called that it was going to be from a spot, it was from a set piece. So, technically I'm going to give you half a point for that one. And now Apple is taking, sitting there while we're talking, signing people up because the urgency to become a Apple subscriber has broken the million mark for just MLS.
Yeah, it's definitely it's an exciting weekend, and even in Europe, we have leagues starting to come back with the Champions League qualifiers, and some of the smaller leagues have started to come back this week as well. But definitely with the Apple subscriptions, I mean that's great for all the Messi fans. I'm assuming that's who is buying the subscription. It would have to be the casual Messi fan who just wants to watch him play for Miami once a week. As for the casual fan like myself, I still don't think it's worth it to get a subscription until they fix the scheduling, because obviously you can't have 5 games going at the same time, and you're going to pay that money to watch these games, and then you might as well pick a team because you end up getting to watch like 3 out of the 15 on the weekend. But yeah, absolutely, Messi's a big draw, and now I'm hearing Luis Suarez is supposedly going to join him, but that one's going to cost Miami about $70 million US to rip him away from Gremio. Gremio even sat Luis Suarez the other night. They still won, so go figure that. But so now Messi has convinced Busquets and Alba to come, and now he's trying to get Suarez here, as well as 40-year-old Iniesta. He's dragging out of Japan to come join him. So right now we have 5 players from the 2015 Barcelona team.
Well, the funny thing is that it's kind of almost like the Dwayne Wade, LeBron James Miami Heat at that point. All you're doing is picking up stars that to come play on a super team. And we haven't.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I actually read something that Dwayne Wade wanted to leave the Thai basketball league or wherever he's playing over in Asia to come play with LeBron on the Lakers.
What the heck, right? You got that opportunity, go for it.
Nobody else wants to play with him, so someone's got to.
Someone's got to do it. It's going to be interesting to see, because we had talked, whether halfway joking or not, about Neymar. If he came, my goodness, they would be in a pretty interesting situation, to be sure.
Well, Luis Suarez itself is a big draw, because obviously he's from Uruguay, so now you're bringing in another. Obviously, it's not as big as Brazil, but you're bringing in another South American market, and obviously Messi played with Suarez for years on Barcelona, and it seems like he's slowly just turning this team into the 2015 Barcelona.
Well, if he did, that wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, they just need Neymar and a few others on defense and in the midfield, and they're there.
They're almost there, and the thing is that it's going to be some pretty interesting stuff. All right, so let's see what we have coming up here. For those of you who didn't get all the scoring, it was Miami beating Cruz Azul 2-1. Orlando and Houston drew. We had, if I screw this name up, you'll help me, I hope. Mazatl.
Mazel tov.
Mazel Tov. Okay, it sounds like
Worst team in Mexico destroyed Austin in Austin.
Yeah, 3-1. Charlotte and Dallas drew at 2. Lyon and Vancouver drew at 2. That was that the one with they had they won by 16-15 on penalty kicks?
Oh, I didn't really watch any of the penalties, but did that happen? That sounds like a wild one.
Well, I saw it. It was they condensed the whole thing down, and it was if one team missed, the other team hit the crossbar. I mean, there was just it was like crazy. You thought they're almost down to the point where they're being able to bring people out of the stands to kick.
Yeah, you're right. 16-15 on penalties. I just checked. Wow.
Montreal and Pumas, they drew. New York Red Bull and New England drew. Philadelphia didn't. They beat Tijuana 3-1. Salt Lake beat Seattle 3-0.
Oh, they won a game at home?
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. The world is changing. So then you've got Portland beating San Jose 2-0. Atlas beat New York City 1-0. Cincinnati 3-2 over Kansas City. Nashville 2-1 over Colorado. Minnesota 4, Puebla 0. Columbus 2, St. Louis 1. And now we're getting ready for the SE rematch. This will be on the 25th, and that will be against, of course, Miami and Atlanta this time around. That game will be in Fort Lauderdale. Then you got Santos Laguna against Houston. You've got, these are all obviously on the 25th. Why we do change. Dallas against Nextia. Mazarone, is that what you Mazel Tov?
Mazel Tov. Yeah, it's like Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov, yeah. Mazel Tov and Juarez. Mazel Tov's my new favorite team. Mazel Tov against Juarez. LA against Lyon. Montreal against DC. These are now on the 26th. We moved over to the 26th. Montreal, DC. New York City at Toronto. Philly Philly hosts Quarento. San Luis is playing New England. Monterey is against Salt Lake. The Tigers are at Portland. Cool name. Chivas against Cincinnati. Minnesota at Chicago. Nashville against Toluca. Americas versus St. Louis. Cruz Azul goes to Atlanta. And these are on the 29th. I'm sorry. Well, we don't have to go that far.
I was going to say you're going too far. Yeah. I don't have the odds on those games yet.
No, it's funny because the moment I looked down and went Atlanta, I said, "Wait a minute, we started off with Atlanta."
Yeah. Bet365 kind of just stopped, and then you kept going, and I was like, "Wait a minute, there's no odds here."
Stop. Cease. So anyway, that's where we are at this point in time. In the games coming up. So those of you circle your calendar for seeing Mr. Messi and Miami. So that'll be a good thing. So that'll be tomorrow night on Apple at 7:00. So
of course, Miami gets to be home. What else is new?
Right. It's important. Yeah.
It is, because Atlanta sucks on the road and they're very good at home. So that's very important distinction for them in that match.
Yeah, stay home. That means that is what they're doing. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to keep up with it and see what's happening. So you've got that going on. Any thoughts about, you were talking about some of the smaller countries in the qualifying matches. What's going on there? What are you keeping an eye on for this week?
Yeah, so there's just there's a few Champions League qualifiers for tomorrow. The Champions League qualifiers started actually close to like July, the beginning of July almost. But those are those are all the very, very small teams, and there's a good like 4 rounds of qualifying before we even hit the group stage of the Champions League. So yeah, we're still in the qualifying stage. I believe this is the third round of qualifying, it's either the third round or the fourth round, and we're very close to the group stage because now you see all the big name teams starting to come in. Like we have the Turkish giant Galatasaray playing Zalgiris, the Lithuanian champs. That one's tomorrow. Then you have the teams like Molde and AHK Helsinki, Dynamo Zagreb, Astana. So these are all pretty big team names. Servette from Switzerland and first Genk. Genk was so close to winning the Belgian title last year. They were by far the best team in the first half of the Belgian league, and then they kind of dropped off, and Royal Antwerp just kind of took over in that second half of the season. But both very good teams, so definitely going to be interesting to watch these Champions League qualifiers starting tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be very, very interesting, to be sure. One of the things that happened over the weekend, now we're switching over to baseball for a moment, is that the Orioles proved that, guess what? They're not such a bad team. They came through and ended up going, to taking 3 out of 4 in that amazing battle that they had with the Rays. And now they're 2 games up on the Rays in the MLB standings as we head into, 1 week from today. As a matter of fact, when we are on the air next week at this time, we'll be right in the middle of the trade deadline, which might be some fun for us. So, yeah, the Rays are now 2 games behind. The Blue Jays have been playing well. They're 10 games over 500, 6.5 games back. The Yankees are 8.5 games back, tied with the Red Sox in the East. In the Central, the Twins are 3 games clear of the Guardians. And by the way, they are the only team in that division who is above 500. The Tigers are 7 back. The Sox are 12 back. The Royals are 25 games out of first place. Then in the West, you got your Rangers, 3 up on the Astros, 8 up on the Angels. The Mariners are 8.5 back, and Athletics are way back. They are
and
32 games back.
Guess who the Rangers start a series with today?
Okay. Who?
The Astros.
Oh, the Rangers and the Astros. Oh, okay.
And you said they're 3 games ahead. That's going to be very important.
That would be very interesting. Yes, we could really enjoy seeing how that one plays out.
That one starts tonight. They don't get the Monday off, so they'll be playing tonight.
So, all right, in the National League, we've got the Braves, who looked a little human this weekend, but not that much. 11.5 games over the Phils and the Marlins, who are tied for that second spot. The Mets are 18.5 games back. The Nationals are 23.5 games back. Brewers lead the Reds by 0.5 game. They lead the Cubbies by 6.5. Cardinals by 11, and the Pirates by 11.5.
Jim, can you guess who the Brewers are playing today, starting a series with today?
The Brewers?
Yeah.
Hang on, what's up? I can tell you, I've got a schedule here. Let's see.
I know who they're playing. I know who they're.
Oh, okay. The Reds again.
This is like what, the 3rd series in the last 2 weeks.
This is like Groundhog Day. It's like, what? Didn't they just do that?
They played. So they were the last series before the All-Star break. They were the first series out of the All-Star break, and now they're meeting again a week later.
Amazing. In the NL West, it's the Dodgers by 4 over the Diamondbacks, and the Giants are tied. The Giants have made a kind of sneaky, snuck their way in. The Padres are 10 back, and the Rockies are 18.5. I saw an interesting piece, and that was that The Giants general manager came out and said that if, and he didn't, say that if it would happen or whatever is going to happen, but there was the Mets are considering putting. They've mentioned it that they might just waive Madison Bumgarner.
Oh,
So
they have him on the roster.
yeah. Now, if they did, just follow what can't possibly be logical in this case. If rather than trade him, if they waived him, they would have to pay his salary, regardless of who picked him up. And the Giants said if he cleared waivers, then they would sign him. Now, if you claim somebody on waivers, you then have to engage with the club, in this case the Mets, and talk about a trade or some sort of compensation to be had. So that's kind of like having a trade without actually talking about a trade. It should be noted, just for the heck of it here, that all the time at the waiver wire, the deadline a week from today we talked about, there will be players who will be put on the waiver wire, like Bryce Harper and stuff like that. People who no one is ever going to get, okay? And if someone makes a waiver claim on them, then they'll pull them back, okay? But they do that just, it's a contractual thing. So anyway, if they put Baumgartner on it and he clears waivers, in other words, nobody says they want to claim him, then he basically is a free agent, and the Giants have said that they would go ahead and do that. Now, that would be a phenomenal thing for the Mets to put Baumgartner on waivers, and he cleared waivers, meaning no other team wanted him. Then he would become a free agent. So interesting stuff to watch. There's a lot of fans in Los Angeles yesterday who were. I guess they must have played our stuff on the video screen up there because they thought that this was the last time they're going to see Ohtani in an Angels uniform at the Big A in Anaheim. So, they kind of lingered along and waited to see what was going on there. So we'll see. But like I said, a week from today, we're going to find out whether or not there is going to be a trade or not for Mr. Ohtani. So stay tuned on that front. But interesting stuff. I mean, we're getting down to the crunch time, and it looks like, if you look at what's going on today in Major League Baseball, by the way, there is an afternoon game. It's a rare Monday afternoon game. Tigers are beating the Giants, the aforementioned Giants, by a score of 2-0. Rockies and Nationals, that's a game in D.C. tonight at 7 o'clock. Mariners and Twins, 7:40. The Orioles and the Phillies being played at the Bank up in Philadelphia. That game gets underway at 6:40. You got the Royals and the Guardians. That's a 7:10 game. You've got the Reds and the Brewers, who never seems to quit playing each other.
9-game series.
Yeah, that's amazing. 8:10. First pitch 8:10 also with the Astros and the Rangers.
I guess the MLB needs our help with scheduling.
They must.
Everybody just needs scheduling help.
Yeah, just do it. Make it simple. The Golden Black Pirates against the Golden Brown San Diego Padres. That's a 9:40 start in San Diego. Cardinals are on the desert. It's a 9:40 start in Arizona, the D-backs. And this should be an interesting series. Absolutely. And that's the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, which gets underway at 10:10. Doubleheader, by the way, on Major League Baseball Network for those of you interested. You have to watch the Rockies and the Nationals before you get to see the Blue Jays.
You have to.
Yeah,
you can't tune in late. You have to watch the first game.
Right. You cannot. You're not allowed to watch the last game if you don't watch the first game. No. All kidding aside, the Dodgers Blue Jays game is a 10:10 first pitch, and It'll be the second game of the doubleheader.
It's like a reward, Jim. You get punished for watching the Rockies,
right.
And then you get the good game afterwards.
Yeah, like, okay, you can now watch the good stuff. Okay.
Go to sleep with that feel good feeling.
Right, that you saw two good teams play, and your Blue Jays have not. They're slowly but surely plugging away.
Yeah, they're climbing the standings, but man, the Dodgers are rolling, and I don't know a single person who would want to step in front of that trade right now because they are just something else. They scored 31 runs on the Rangers in their 3 games over the weekend. So just imagine that. The offense is rolling. Everything with this team is rolling right now. I will say, I have confirmation. Hyunjin Ryu will be back for the Blue Jays next Monday.
Not a week from today.
Yeah, so right before the trade deadline.
Right.
So they'll get about one start out of him to see, do we need an arm? Yeah, I guess maybe we should go get an arm.
Quick. Yeah. It's going to be fun to see how that plays out. That's for darn sure. What are you looking for from the Jays at the trade deadline as we get a week from today? What would be a good result for you?
Yeah, everybody I've talked to about it seems to be in agreement with me that they need arms. Simple enough, they need arms. And if I were them, I would just find I'd try to go after a starter, like a first, because Manoah was supposed to be their ace after the first 2 seasons he put up in his career. He was really supposed to take over that ace role, and he's been a gas can this year. Turns out Gausman's their best pitcher, and he's their ace. But behind him, Bassett's shaky, Berrios is shaky, Kikuchi is shaky. I know Berrios and Kikuchi have been pitching better this year, but still some shaky starters. So if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm going out trying to get a 1 or 2 rotation kind of guy, and then take one of the starters you have, knowing you're going to get Hyunjin Ryu back, and Manoah is starting to pitch better. He did pitch well yesterday against the Mariners. So if you're rolling with Gausman, Manoah improving, let's say Hyunjin Ryu picks up where he left off 3 seasons ago when he got injured, and then you bring in like a top of the rotation kind of guy. You can move Kikuchi or Berrios or somebody to the bullpen, and I think that'll really reinforce their pitching staff.
Okay, but if you're going to get a top of the rotation guy, and there aren't that many out there, they're going to cost.
Well, I said a 1 or 2, one or two, right? It's got to be an ace.
Okay, all right. So,
if you can get the one, but
right.
Settle for the 2 if it's easy to get the 2.
I guess the question here is, do the Blue Jays have the chips to play to get a guy like that? Do you feel that whether it's in the minor leagues or a minor league or in a position player, it's going to take a lot to get some of these guys pried loose from some of the places.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the other question, Jim, is are they going to be able to do it? Because they've given away a lot of their younger players over the last few years. Obviously we've seen a lot of the younger players come up and they're playing for the team now, like Bo Bichette and Vladdy, obviously. They could, because they don't use him in the lineup often, but he's a very good player, and they kind of use him as a Swiss Army knife because he plays almost every position. Maybe Cavan Biggio would be on the chopping block possibly, because that's a solid name, I think. See, that's the problem, is they had that all-star catcher, Gabriel Moreno, from last season. They traded him to, I think, the Diamondbacks along with Lourdes Gurriel. And they got rid of Teoscar Hernandez. Those Gurriel and Hernandez were 2 very good bats in the lineup, I thought. So it's gonna be interesting. I definitely think a lot of their younger players, a lot of their farm system players are either playing for the team or they have already traded them away. So it'll be interesting for sure to see what they can do at the trade deadline.
Well, if you're let's use this happens all the time. You've got teams who have decent pitching. They need a bat. Okay. We know Toronto's got bats. Okay. Maybe you can find a partner that needs a bat. So this could be a situation where two teams are both contenders. So in other words, you could be two teams that you would think would be buyers, right? But they could make a trade that benefits both of them, and they're both, battling for, for a playoff spot. I've seen that happen before. Where you go and get yourself a bat, and at the same time, you're giving up some pitching, but you feel that you've got the pitching depth to do it. So that might be something that we could see down the line, where there's a team that needs a bat. You've got a bat, and if they can give you a pitcher in return, maybe that's where they go.
Yeah, I could definitely see something like that, but it'll be interesting to see for sure. Obviously, what they can do. We got about a week left till the deadline, so
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens to Ohtani. So,
well, yeah, there's that. I think that what we can
see which of our 6 trades panned out.
Yeah, exactly. We also have Joe Musgrave going somewhere, but we don't know yet.
You know what? That would be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. You mean to Toronto? Yeah.
So you said, I remember you mentioned something about them looking at Blake Snell. Padres need offense right now, desperately this season, and on top of that, they need a veteran. They need a veteran guy who can bring that offense. So, that'll be interesting. I don't know who the Blue Jays would be willing to give up, obviously, but that now obviously the Padres aren't a contender this year, but they definitely have some pitching, and if they're going to blow it up, that might be a team to consider.
Well, here's the thing, okay? These are factors that go into these trade deadlines, okay? Blake Snell has a $20 million option. It's not a player option. It's a team option, okay? So his contract is not player friendly. It's not contract friendly to the Padres. If you're willing to take on a contract, you're likely to get somebody that you wouldn't have gotten. In other words, you could trade, say, 2 minor leaguers, not bad minor league, but quality minor, to San Diego and get a Snell for those 2 guys. Right, so you're not taking anybody off your major league roster to get them, but you're gonna have to eat his contract.
Yeah.
So if they're willing to eat contracts, you might be able to get somebody. And again, not that you don't have to give up as much because you're taking on cash.
Yeah, I think they're really serious about, because they did make a lot of moves in the offseason.
Sure.
They unloaded some guys, so. If they're really serious about making a playoff run, that might be their best bet. They gotta spend some money here,
right?
Take on a contract, because you can't. I look at their lineup and I say they have a very good lineup, but they can't really afford to lose any of it, especially when they already gave out guys like Hernandez and Gurriel in the offseason, right? They lost some big bats already, so yeah, I think that would probably be the best way to go.
The funny thing you just said a few minutes ago, funny thing to me is, San Diego needs bats. And we're thinking, right, okay, they Machado, they got Soto, they got all these guys who, are supposed to be bats, and they can't score runs. And it's just crazy.
I don't know what to tell you, Jim. It's the bottom of the 10 offense in the MLB. Like, I agree. I look at the lineup, and you don't think they need bats, but they need bats.
If I were them, Soto's going to walk. All right. If they don't think they're going to sign him, which I don't think they're going to sign him, but all right, fine, whatever. I'll tell you who I would trade in a heartbeat, only because I know what kind of haul I could get back. They got 2 more years on Josh Hader's contract. I'd trade him. If you're not going to, if you're not there, why have the best closer in baseball and you're not going to be in the playoffs? So go get a bounty for him, because they depleted their minor league system in trades that they made for like Soto and others. So they have to bring them back sometime.
Yeah, they're just a disaster of a
Yeah.
team.
That's not going well for them. There's also, I mean, we always look there because they always have them. The Pirates have a bunch of players that might be, trade ready, and it seems like they always are the ones that are dealing in the final stages of the season. But hey, it is what it is. And so there's guys around. I just don't know where. Um, Again, it's that fit, and like you said before, sometimes you have to give up a lot to get something. Sometimes you just have to be willing to reach into your pocketbook and pull out, whatever wad of cash it's going to take to get you what you need.
I wonder if the Brewers are on the table just because didn't they trade Hader literally when they were leading the division? And then
Last year,
the Cardinals came storming back and ended up
ran
winning the division lead.
over them like they were a grease spot in the road. Yeah.
And I remember the trade made no sense because everybody was like, "Why are you getting rid of your closer when you're leading the division?
Right.
You should have been buyers, not sellers."
Well, they also almost got rid of Christian Yelich. Now,
so I know they're in first again, but there's precedent for it.
Yeah, for them, yes. Yelich is having he's had 2 down seasons. I still would take I'd take a flyer on Yelich. I mean, I still think he can play. Whatever it is in Milwaukee that's not working with him is not working with him. But if I'm somebody, Tampa Bay needs a bat, I would give him a phone call and say, what's Christian doing these days? Not much. Bring him down here. Let us play. With his make sure his batting situation is better. But there's going to be some names definitely moving a week from today. That like we said before, if you're willing to take on Arenado's contract or Paul Goldschmidt's contract in St. Louis, you may be able to get them. But those are big numbers. So if you're going to do it, you're going to have to pay to do it.
See, that's a player I think the Padres need, Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt's first base, that would be a good deal.
Well, I think they need the veteran. They need the defense and the veteran experience, right?
Sure.
They need that voice in the clubhouse. That's not because right now, really, it should be Machado should be the guy. He was the first big contract, like the first piece of the dominoes that fell years ago, and he hasn't done anything.
Well, my understanding is that Machado is not that kind of, he's not he's not a leader kind of guy. He
seems like
and I'm not. There's no disrespect meant to Manny in that. It's just that's not the kind of guy he is. Some guys are, some guys aren't. Some guys are not that great players or better, guys in the clubhouse. So we've ascertained that there's a lot of teams that could use a clubhouse guy, and maybe the clubhouse guy is, as you say, is a Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, he's he can light a fire under a lot of people. So maybe that's your guy.
And that's the thing, right? With him, you get the age, but you get the veteran and the good defense, right?
You get a Gold Glover and a Silver Slugger, and
exactly.
And if you don't respect that, then you're not going to respect anybody. So it is what it is, right? I think that Goldschmidt would be good. He's a good add to anybody's team, but he'd be a great add too.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Rays go for him.
I wouldn't either. But then again, it's that contract. It's like, what are they going to do with that contract?
Oh, that's right. They don't pay money.
Stu Silverman does not pay money.
I forgot they don't pay their team. It's like, come and play for us. We'll give you free pizza and season tickets.
A lot of Chuck E. Cheese things. Yeah. But and Starbucks cards. Yeah, could they trade for him and then spin it and trade him in the offseason? Yeah, they could do that too. So that's possibly something that could happen. But yeah, you need a bat. That's one of the guys you want to get on your side and get in there. So we'll see. The Red Sox have some players, but I don't think they're going to trade within the division to the Jays. I don't think that's going to happen.
The Red Sox are such a mess
Yeah.
moves they've made. Who knows what they're gonna do? They might be buyers, they might be sellers. I think I don't even think the Red Sox know what they're gonna do yet.
Yeah, I think Heim Bloom is just walking around the office, just bouncing into things.
And right now they're in that situation where it's like, they just climbed over the Yankees in fourth. They're above 500. They're like 6 games above 500, but you're nowhere close to the wild card because of how strong everybody else is. And you're kind of in that middle situation, like we're not a bad team, but can we make it there?
Right, and you just, I mean, it's to give you perspective. The Rays are 4-14 this month, and they just came out of first place in that series with the Orioles, which, by the way, is a phenomenal series. I mean, the Orioles both teams played at the highest level, and at the end of the day, it was 1 run difference between them throughout that 4-game series. The Rays won by 3 runs one night, and every other game was decided by either 1 or 2 runs. And when you tally up all the 2 of the games were won in either the 9th inning or later by the Orioles. So it was good baseball. It was good solid baseball. But 4-14, and you're only 2 games out. You're lucky. They don't get lucky soon. I think this might be a makeup game because I think they're headed to Houston tomorrow. So I think it's the Astros. I think the Rays and the Astros play tomorrow, and then Tampa Bay goes to play the Yankees, and so they'll probably be in New York for they'd be in New York to the trade deadline, and then they move to Detroit. So that's going to be that situation. But it's going to be fun. If Baltimore has to get by a Philly team that's been playing pretty good lately, and so we're going to see. There's a lot of teams that may be both sellers and buyers, which happens. So see how that goes. But very, very entertaining stuff coming down the stretch here. What's going on with you and your stuff for today over on the pick side?
Yeah, you can get my picks at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. I got a lot of soccer up today. I got two MLB, but I got 2 Argentina plays. Went 2-0 in Argentina yesterday.
Okay.
I got a Brazilian play up and been killing the Brazil. I'm on a 29-15 run there.
Cool.
And I got my Women's World Cup plays up for later tonight and early in the morning. You can get those there as well. We've had a winning Women's World Cup so far, and I'm on a 20-10 World Cup run from the Men's World Cup. So just killing all World Cup soccer.
Anything this World Cup, you're on top of it. Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions from the audience, so we're going to boogie on out of here.
It's a quiet Monday.
It's a quiet Monday, yeah, as it should be. All right, gang. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm Jim. He's Amadeus, and we're going to see you tomorrow, same time, same